won't miss so much.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Julie. Sir Debbie, not. Tom,
Present.
Bill, Alana. Mr. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Paul,
Present.
Karen, yes, Steve,
Here.
because I forgot his first name. Although it's Terry, we know that. Okay, on the April 12th minutes, are there any corrections, deletions, or additions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Roll call vote. Julie?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Alana?
Yeah.
Terry?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Karen? Yes. Sir Debbie's abstaining. That's all right. Okay. All right, where's the youth football? All right, I'm confused. On your sheet, it says Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. And on the agenda, it says Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What's the truth?
I was also confused because I believe I requested Tuesday through Friday, but I should have requested Monday through Friday.
Well, I want you to think about this for a minute, because this is gonna be a multiple use field. And there's gonna be a soccer field where you are using it for 5 nights in
Sure.
prime time. I think you may wanna rethink that or come up with some other ideas unless the commission has some thoughts.
Okay, so historically, we've had practice there too. Well, I guess I would ask, when does soccer start?
Soccer is gonna be at the behest of whatever, but I'm concerned if you take Monday through Friday at 5:30 to 7:30, that's prime time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you may wanna have 1 or 2 days that you do it a little earlier, and so if the soccer guys wanna come at 6, they can play. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to. I'm just saying, Mr. Norton, are you in agreement with what I'm saying?
So far, we haven't had any
Well, then
requests for
you-
soccer.
All right, then you take what you want.
But can I ask a question? When does it start and when does it end?
It's on the sheet.
So
I know.
this is how we've done it historically. It usually starts the first, second Monday of August, so I think August 7th
Right,
is our first,
to November 1.
yeah, and those first 2 weeks, and no one's ever competed for that field with us, so, but, at least not in my experience with it. So we've done those first 2 weeks and sometimes those first 3 weeks, 5 nights a week, because there is a requirement by the league that the kids have a certain amount of, practice time prior to contact.
Understood?
And so in order to accomplish that, by the time the jamboree happens, which is the last week in August, we do need that time. Once we get into the season,
Can I ask a stupid question? What is your name?
my name is Russell Hyde,
Thank you.
league president currently.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay, so, in order to accomplish that, we do go 5 days a week early in the season. Once we settle into the regularly scheduled season, we've done historically Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 5:30 to 7:30. Last year, there was kind of some conflicting schedules, so some divisions went like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So having never seen anyone down there during that.
Well,
time-
you gotta understand, this is a whole new deal. We've bought soccer goals, we're lining the field, we're trying to make it a multi-purpose field, not only for girls softball, but for football and for soccer. So this is the new way, okay? So what I'm trying to do is make people aware of that, so we don't go, well, that's our field type stuff. So I just want
Yeah.
you to be aware of that.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not claiming ownership of it, but like I said, we've never had to compete for it. So, I guess I would ask for kind of the early part of the season to have that full access if it's available. Typically, not too many sports start during August.
Question. Tom, Bill, any problems with this at this juncture?
How much, I mean, so the soccer field is getting laid out is an actual football field in terms of size.
Yes.
We got 100 yards and by 56 yards wide, which is even more. But then that's the area, the big area behind there too, where the sleds and stuff are now. So one question I have is, when you're practicing, are you utilizing the whole field?
So the way we've done it the past few years is we have 3 and potentially this year 4 divisions. That would be flag, peewee, junior, and senior. And we've all practiced down there together. It's,
So you're gonna take
Ballpark,
over and
60
spread
kids.
out in 4 different places.
yeah, but we can fit on that field reasonably. We don't take, 20 kids in each division. We take up 15 yards at a time, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I just.
But we, like, yes, when 60 of us are down there practicing at the same time, we have taken a majority of that space.
Okay, so,
So I just envisioned that, except we don't have any, requests before us for soccer, or any organized soccer at this point.
Yeah.
So it's wide open, but I just think that we might have to be considered to be aware that it's, in the future, this might become, having to be something considered, to have some shared time down there for.
okay, well, we'll work on it. Alana,
So this is before school starts, right? This is
Yeah,
before
we
school
start
starts.
before school starts.
So is there any reason it can't happen a little bit earlier in the day? You have people that have conflict, they're working.
I am a school administrator.
Yeah, you're working.
Like,
So the other thing is that for other organizations that want to start in August, there might be some flexibility in terms of time. Are you willing to be flexible in terms of time if we need to move it a half an hour in one direction or another, if we do get a request? I can imagine people start to hear that there's a soccer field that they can. use.
oh, baby Jesus,
Right.
speak to me.
Right, so like Monday nights starting at 7:30 is awfully late, but if they could start at 7, like any of those.
yeah,
pieces of
I
flexibility.
think that could definitely be flexed.
Okay, knowing that, what do you want to, I'm asking the commission, what do you want to do from here forward, starting August 7th? Although we have 2 more meetings till then, so what's your thought? So you would want to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the first 2 weeks? Is that what I'm hearing?
7 through 11. 14th through those first 3 weeks, I would ask for full access for those 5 weeknights.
Since we have no other request at this point, and
I would say
let's approve
Ducky,
this.
yeah, we'll prove that, and if we need to play the game and we
We'll
need
call.
to share, we'll let you know. Okay,
Please raise
And
it.
then after those first 3 weeks, they're calling 3 days a week then?
That's what we
Yeah.
always done, yeah. And
Paul?
I would ask.
I think it's important that with the change to a multi-purpose field, I think you have blocking sleds and stuff down there.
Yes, that's correct.
It's gonna be important that after your practices are over with, that those things are pulled way off the field, so they aren't sitting in the middle of a group of guys come down, or girls or whatever, come down to play soccer, and here are these
okay,
implements sitting in the middle of the field.
yeah, okay, great.
Okay.
Joe?
Maybe what you're going through is the same thing we went through girls softball. They asked for the slate, the whole thing, and then they came back after Karen approached him and said, can you nail it down exactly what you need? So maybe we can do it the same with him, you can act on it tonight, but he can fine tune the schedule, send it to them, we'll update the.
Right, because here's the thing, there's a calendar now on the website for Parks and Rec that lists everything at Olympian Meadows, at the Hoosie Dome, and all this other stuff, so people know what's going on. Anybody over here? I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the request. Second.
Any other further discussion?
Are we approving it just for the first 3?
No, we're gonna approve it. We're gonna say the first 3 weeks, it'll be 5 nights a week, and then he's gonna drop down to 3 nights a week.
And those nights are to be determined.
I think he,
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday
Yeah.
is what I would ask for.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Any other questions, concerns, or issues?
Do their participants have to go on and sign a waiver, or what's the story about that part of it?
We didn't have a discussion with him about that, so what we did is, you have your own waiver that the kids sign and everything.
For like liability and insurance, yeah.
So what we'll do is, I'll get your email from Carol and we'll send you our waiver, and at the same time, just have our waiver signed.
And we'll file it. Okay, I'll take the vote. All those in favor, roll call. Sir Debbie?
Yeah.
What?
You're making an emotional, no one's.
Oh, great. All those in favor, raise your paws. Very good. Those opposed? None. Great. Next.
Thank you.
All right. Berkshire Bust, where are you?
Hands are up.
What do they want? It's the same old jazz, right?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go for
Hi.
it.
This is Carly Scalforo. I'm the general manager of Berkshire Busk. It's exactly as you said, just like in years past, we have two groups that we believe are better suited to placing at Gazebo and Giggle Park. We've been in contact with folks at the Mahawi to make sure that our programming isn't interfering with anything they're doing in any way. Our staff will be supervising the event just like they do the regular festival.
Do you have insurance?
Yeah, according to Mark Prowensky, we're under the town's insurance by being a town-sponsored event.
Okey dokey. Any other questions, concerns, or issues in reference to Berkshire Bus?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any other discussion? Sir Debbie, yes or no? Everybody who likes the idea, put your hands up. Very good. Everybody who doesn't like the hands, keep your hands down anyway. No, that's all right. Great.
you're all set, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay. Festival Latino. Where are they?
Right there.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi,
Okay, great. How are you?
vertical and breathing. What can I do for you today, ma'am?
Fantastic.
Good.
I believe that this is just a general approval for hosting the Festival Latino of the Berkshires on behind Town Hall property on
September
September
30th?
30th.
Is there a rain date?
We don't do rain dates, rain or shine.
Okay. Okay, rain or shine. And you will have the certificate of insurance by August 1st. That's wonderful. And the Board of Health is gonna, there's no alcohol. That makes me better. The DPW, do you realize you're responsible for trash pickup for this?
Yes, we are.
Marvelous. Okay. Ethnic, any other questions, concerns, and issues from anybody on the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second,
All right, I think we're just gonna vote on this, Sir Debbie. No, I don't have, well, I see, I got so into it. Everybody made me in. Okay, great. Those opposed? Good. Done.
Awesome. Thank you,
very much.
guys.
Okay. Mr. Aberdale, Parks Care and Maintenance, do you have anything for us?
This is where we want to talk about youth services.
Yeah,
So, we've been working with our chief health, we came up with, a plan. Jimmy's came up with a plan for us to service Lake Mansfield, 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Which the board requested. Pass these out. So we're having two lifeguards, there all the time, and 4 hours during the day, there'll be 3 lifeguards. And then we can keep things open if we need to adjust it one way or another. So Lake Mansfield is covered. I think we start, Memorial Day weekend, feel free to jump in there. Memorial Day weekend, it's 7 days a week. After that, the school starts here. And then on weekends till Labor Day. And so what I just circulated to you is kind of just a summary of this year's fiscal budget for the line item, and then the proposed next year. And we appear to have the money needed to do the additional services.
marvelous.
So the second thing was,
Before you go, okay, like any questions or concerns? Beautiful, now go.
so, my intentions, because it's already been money that's approved by the taxpayers and the youth services, would just issue them an extension on their contract.
Okay, now,
So
okay,
next is, we started playing now. And, I sent you guys earlier today the summary of their findings and, what activities and times and what days of the week and stuff like that. So clearly we found that the days of the week could be altered a little bit to accommodate more of the young kids and parents and stuff like that. It's from 1 to 6, and, we have some money built into Janice's proposal. Different games, things that may be needed. So I think we, so it's, there'll be 2 people there from 1 to 6, and, it'll be Wednesday through Sunday. Total of 38 days altogether. And again, we have the money built in for the budget, in the budget for it. There's a little bit of money in there for marketing, so we can promote it, and give it, a real shape this year to try to make it work for future years. And then, we have a little bit of money in equipment. And so what I also sharing with you, there's a little bit of money left that could be used before July 1st, a little bit of money in the proposed next year's budget. So if there's a piece of equipment or something that we want to try to find for down there. I think one of the items was some type of water.
Yeah, there was strong feedback that they wanted water, these bubbles, more shade. It's just not enough shade. The trees will do well in a few years, but they're not gonna be, sufficient for this year.
How about a fly?
What?
The National Dermatological had this whole thing about 3 posts and a fly, it's a triangular shade. I think that may be something, because that seems to come up a lot, so I
Yeah.
think that may be something we could look at, and it comes down in the winter.
Higher priority things that in the water, so we're gonna brainstorm on that.
Great,
Denise has a little bit of money built in there. We have a little bit of money left over. We might even have a little bit of DPW grounds improvement money.
let me ask the commission. Joe worked well, and I want to applaud Berkshire South for doing the survey to get some ideas, and I like that we've put it down to 5 days a week. I think it makes sense that way through the weekend, and 1 to 6 seems to be, I think we were condensing it for less coverage, but I think Berkshire South, based on the information they've garnered, if we can get something for shade or some sort of water, I mean, we're not putting in a pool down there. I just hope everybody doesn't think that's gonna happen. But I'm just curious what the commission thinks about that approach that both Joe and Berkshire South worked on, which I applaud them on hearing us saying, look, we don't want to, and see what's going on. Anybody have any comments? Tom?
So when we did the last round of renovations to the playground, there was a lot of the participants had mentioned and tried to plan for considered a water feature at the park. Some kind of plaything or something where people, what we were thinking where it would go would be in the corner, by the towards south, towards main, the corner of the
Or the old
towards.
backstop and ball field.
No, what, up, just off of the playground area. And, there were, because a lot of parks, there are them having just where, you have a little spray hose thing that,
Right, well, that's what they're gonna work on.
Yeah, you could have it installed.
Well, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna look at that.
That would be, that was something that was thought about, but never conceptualized.
I think it's a great idea, especially for the youngsters,
Yeah, it's hot, especially because I love that when I looked at the hours 2 to 4, it's the hottest time of the day. I was like, yeah, okay, great. Sir Debbie.
I was just gonna say, and all of these have there's a lot of different water feature,
Great.
things.
Well, you may be able to share that since you've done so much research. Anybody else? Julie?
In some parks, you see a small gazebo type of structure. I don't know how expensive something like that would be, but people really use them.
Well, that's why I want to see about the fly instead of a gazebo, because you start talking gazebo, you start talking construction, and you're talking thousands of dollars, or a fly you could do. I think there's also grants available for those to create shade, the National Dermatological whateverness.
What about a pop-up?
They're in my opinion, they're too dangerous. They
Oh,
fly away so
okay.
easily, and with only 2 staff, they could never
Thank you.
get
Okay.
safely in.
Anybody else, Bill?
So, you guys talked to Lake Mansfield, of the Alliance at all, because it seems like they have some pretty intense plans for the way that park is gonna be laid out. So,
or this year, like for swimming and interfering with swimming and stuff like that.
well, just for future plans. is-
But Lake Mansfield Task Force is an advisory task force.
Right,
The town has a final say over what's gonna be done there.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we take their opinion seriously.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I'm not saying we don't, but so this board and the select board would have kind of the final recommendation and then final say. on what's gonna be-
Yeah, but we're talking about Housatonic now.
okay.
That's what we're talking about, not Lake Mansfield.
Just on Lake Bayfield, the timeline hasn't been set for the construction up there.
Yeah.
The anticipation is later this year. But depends on how intense that is and when it hits. I think we would try to do it after swim season.
Sure.
But again, that hasn't,
Paul?
Am I to understand that we made a decision that we're gonna run programming up there this year?
No, that's what's happening right now, Paul.
Okay. Joe, this budget for F-24, which indicates something like, several thousands of dollars for Housatonic. I'm assuming that's to pay for the salaries of the kids, or the young men and women are gonna do it. And based on the information that we have received about the number of participants at any one given time, isn't this a pretty high figure to be expending on a minority of individuals?
so at budget time, we knew we were gonna be facing some increases in lifeguards and the availability of lifeguards, and have to pay a little bit more to get them.
Mhm.
So at budget time, there was no real discussion about curtailing or scaling back the services at Housatonic. So basically, we just increased the budget enough to cover the lifeguarding costs and labor costs. But again, now that budget, as you know, has been approved. It doesn't mean we need to spend the money in FY 24. Just remember that's FY 24 starts in July, so
Right.
we will engage Berkshire South through this year and the beginning of next year, up until July 1st. If the board after the season gets a report from Berkshire South and says that, that it was poorly attended, we marketed, we think you ought to spend your money elsewhere, we pull the plug on the small portion.
Excellent.
Right. 'Cause
Right.
I don't think the Housatonic starts until July 5th this year, so it's, there might not be any in FY 24 next year.
I think it's really important, I think there seemed to be with Mark and people leaving and Berkshire South. I think it's very clear to Berkshire South, based on the efforts they expended. And that Joe's talked to them. I think this is a make or break year. I think it's a precipice. I think if you guys do what you're doing and you've asked for activities, you're going 1 to 6 and all that other stuff, and we see a great increase of bodies, that's one thing. If we don't, that'll be the bellwether for what we're gonna do or what we're not gonna do. So I think that this is a really good way to get a much better idea. And also to let people know that there's stuff going on, Wednesday through Sunday, 1 to 6, this is what we're up to, you know what I mean?
And I think other than the survey, and correct me if I'm wrong, in conversation with Janice, she's went up there and talked to some of the younger folks playing on the park and asked what they would like to see too.
Yeah.
Kids that are playing basketball and, different things like that, so. It sounds like there could be clearly more participation than we've seen in the past, just by what we see in the survey and the feedback Janice has got, but until it proves itself.
Steve?
Yeah, no, I was impressed. In 30 days, you came out with a survey that had, 75 respondents, which is pretty darn good. And with new ideas, and I think we try it for this year. And if we have any sort of increase, then we have a decision to make if we don't. But I think, and I'm glad to hear there's marketing money in there.
Right.
And it sounds like we've done, Berkshire South and Joe have done everything right, and let's give it a try. But we finally gave you some direction.
We have time constraints. I want you to be aware of that. Sir Debbie?
So every day from July 5th?
No.
Tuesday through Sunday?
No, Wednesday through Sunday,
From July 5th through,
start of school,
there will be people at the park.
staff supervision, yeah.
And so like parents can just send their kids down there, or do you have to sign up?
No, so I wanted to sort of clarify something that you brought up before. In Lenox, the town owns the community center. In Lee, the town funds the LYA to a degree to run their
Right.
parks year round. Berkshire South is not funded by the town in any way or form. We run our own 40,000 square foot building with 100 kids at camp every day and financial assistance. They're there 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So we're not,
That's like the comparable.
that's right, exactly.
yeah,
That's
that's
what
like
LYA does, is a
It's-
licensed summer
Right.
camp, which we can't license anything out in Housatonic.
Yeah.
That's not what we would do, nor I think what's expected even in Housatonic. A lot of those kids come to Berkshire South, but it's more, it should feel more of a drop-in area. So parents are dropping off at their own risk.
Right.
But our staff will be there, we'll put together what feels like, an organized, what, sort of just like. When I was down there the other day, I was down there last Thursday, I mean, there were like 20 people down there, but it was in the right hours. In the last couple of years, we've run programs based on who we could find available to staff during the pandemic. And what we thought we could do, we only ran 5 days, we ran Monday through Friday, because we figured kids, needed it then, that's when parents needed the more help. But the survey certainly shows that the need could be used better. in a
Better.
different way.
That's great.
And so I feel pretty confident that this will, it was a
Yeah,
5
especially
day.
if they're afternoon hours, after
Yeah.
camp.
Right.
It'll be
Julie?
exactly.
I have the exact same questions. I was confused about the program.
Good.
I think in any of the functions that we run, whether it's a skate park, Lake Mansfield, or Housatonic, we're not a babysitting service, we're not the police, we have services for that in town. And, we don't want to impose that on the young people.
Anybody else?
I still don't understand what it is new that we are talking about running this program again with such low numbers. It seems to me it's fiscally irresponsible to be spending 8,000, 18,000, whatever the number happens to be, on something which over the past several years is indicated that people don't use it.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. We had a pandemic. We did not have, I think this is a call to arms. Berkshire South has got the idea, and I think that we owe the people of Housatonic the benefit of getting this thing done correctly. And if it doesn't this year, so be it. I'll be the first one to motion it down. But I think that we need to honor this, and I think that we need to do it because I think it's important.
And I think we're taking a little bit of a different approach this year. It's by the own initiative of Berkshire South with the survey. The previous RFPs, when you look through them, was to provide people there to run programs. It wasn't to market it. It wasn't to create the RFP. It wasn't to do any of that. They really were doing what we asked them to do as a town.
Yes.
We've kind of expanded that this year a little bit. So I'm hoping between what Janice can do, and our social media, and even, maybe an occasional code red and Housatonic, making them aware of the program.
Okay,
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think we honestly engaged them to do some of those services.
The only thing that I'm really objecting to is that everybody, well, not everybody, but many of my colleagues here are indicating that because it's in Housatonic, we don't want to vote against it because it'll be seen as a vote against Housatonic. It's not a Housatonic program. It's a Town of Great Barrington program. And if it's not being used by Housatonic, Great Barrington, or wherever, we are spending taxpayer money irresponsibly. That's what my point is. It doesn't, the fact that it's in Housatonic, you could be sitting in the middle of Main Street here and I'll feel the same way if those numbers were the same.
I agree with what you're saying. We're saying Housatonic. I agree with what you're saying. No matter where it is, we have to spend the money wisely, but I just don't think we had our eyes set on a good target in the past from what I've seen.
I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the Housatonic program.
I'll take a second. Great. Now, discussion.
Yeah, I would just.
I'd like to
say
keep this, we've got time
So-
constraints.
Housatonic is unique though. I mean, it is one of the, out of the whole town. Great Barrington is probably the best playground that exists. So, I mean, the fact that this is a townwide program that happens to be there, so be it. I just take Paul's, questions, to be considered that, let's see how it goes. I'd suggest at least to see if we have a better response than we have in the past, and if it works, go with it. If it doesn't work, then we may consider it for the following year.
Alana?
This feels like a very different thing than what has been tried in the past. And so with that in mind, because I feel very similarly, to what Paul was saying in reaction to what has been done in the past. But if this is actually offering activities, a place to go, and that people start to learn to expect it, I can't imagine that it would not be used much more. The park was used much more than the programming was used. So, I feel great about choosing to do this as an experiment and to see what works. What I would ask is if there is a way to continue to receive feedback in real time as you start to run this from the families that are coming through and using it. Because what we might find is that, I mean, I saw in the survey that it's actually, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that has the most interest, the most use. And so it might be in our best interest to shift the programming even more in the future, but we won't know until we try it.
It's all about data, and I think Janice, I believe that people are now aware of what we need to deal with. So, with no other comments, I will call about all those in support of what we're gonna do Wednesday through Sunday, 1 to 6, with Berkshire South running the program. Please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? 1, okay. So it was 8 to 1, Carolyn. Okay, yes,
I could
Mr.
just offer one more thing, I think we're very fortunate to have someone like Berkshire South in our community to do this kind of stuff. And maybe as, our youth are important, maybe as we continue to build this relationship with Berkshire South and the town, we can explore more.
Yep, I agree. All right, I know you're bailing out.
One thing that's different from the Lake Mansfield contract, I just wanted to raise attention to, is that we've added service for Juneteenth. So school will be closed, it's just gonna be a different change from here forward, I think we can expect to staff that.
Okay. New business. Sir Devi and Julie, can you give us a 5-minute update about where we are and what we're doing for May 31st?
Thank you. Yes, on May 31st, we're having a community input session here, for the renovation of Dewey or the rebuilding of Dewey Park and Grove Street Park. So in the meantime, we've just gathered some information, some data about the current conditions at both parks.
Yeah.
We've taken photographs. We've also compiled photographs of all the parks that we feel kind of resemble what we have in mind for this project. So we are hoping to bring that to the meeting as well.
Well, I want to caution you right here that it's not what your idea is. This is to solicit input.
Yes.
So what you want to do is put different things up that people can look at and say, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, or, that sort of thing. I wouldn't come with a script on this.
No, okay, so we also have I have a draft agenda. That I did, but I wasn't sure how to make the agenda, so I kind of modeled it after, Carolyn.
So the first thing would be overview of Grove and Dewey, and then, and the budget that we have.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have Joe, so I would have Karen calling the meeting.
Right,
And Joe would do an overview of the current conditions at Grove Street and Dewey Park and give us some numbers of. what
Yeah.
we'll be working with. Then Julie and I would put the pictures up and talk about different ideas that.
There
are
you go.
available. And then we would end with the citizens invited to speak and tell us what they would like.
how are you gonna keep track of who says what and when?
Someone has to take notes.
No, this is not a note thing. You're gonna need to do something. All I can do is remember when we did the skate park. You need something with, if you've got pictures and stuff that you can display, you need something like blue dots that people can say, I like this, or something, because trying to evaluate notes about what people said, I think is gonna be difficult. So I'd really try to come up with some idea of how you're gonna keep track of, because what this is input. It is not direction.
Yes, but we were hoping to kind of bring some concepts, design concepts, that would kind of work for many different classes of users.
Well, so the ideas for park improvement is not that. What you're looking is concepts for park improvements. You're not looking for specifics. You're looking for a sort of an overview of what you think people want to do, right? Okay.
Yes, and part of that, we've, discussed this, would be just a list of different types of structures that are just kind of integral to a park system. The early childhood portion of the park, which involve a slightly safer, more accessible structures, and then other things that are kind of creeping into a lot of other parks that we see people really are drawn to, like the ropes, climbing rope pyramids, metal slides, not plastic platform systems that are kind of like a little bit too boring and don't offer as much of a challenge. So we're seeing that in a lot of the parks. We have pictures of that, that kind of illustrate those concepts.
I think that's perfect,
And
but
we
I
have also,
caution you that when you gotta, because what happens, you'll have a free-for-all.
right, but we don't want what we were thinking is that I don't think that this committee wants a design by committee. I think we both feel strongly that these parks should each, as unique spaces, should have a designer. So that there's flow, there is something that is attractive for many different types of users, not just the children, but parents. People who just want to sit and read a book in the shade, people who want to run, sports. I mean, there are so many ideas.
And that's why we thought if the time bound sat in on it, that they would also, hear what the
Okay,
public is interested in, and then.
He'll do that without, he's already said he would do that. He'd even come out if we wanted to, just cost us money.
no, just tell them to zoom
No, he
in.
can zoom in, and that way,
Okay,
maybe they would come up with a plan after.
after hearing all the input, anybody got,
And the other idea was the Grove Street is pretty much already planned, it just needs new structures, correct?
no,
Well, the parks prior, his name is Gordon, he's familiar with the two parks, he's familiar with all their parks. He's familiar with the public survey that was done. So, even I think as he hears what people are saying, he may be able to take the stage for a minute, even remotely, and offer, kind of what opportunities could be out there to try to achieve what the people.
right,
Yeah,
Do
Okay.
they actually have a designer, or are they just an engineering firm that can implement a design?
No, they have a design.
They have landscape designers where they work.
oh,
with
God, yeah.
Landscape and structures and, and all that.
Yeah, remember also, ladies, that I don't know what the total budget is, but I can tell you that the 4 elements at Lake Mansfield cost $50,000.
Yes.
So if you're starting to talk about, concepts and everything else, that you could work yourself into $500,000 without even thinking.
Easily. But also I feel like, Grove Street is just a beautiful little park. It's such a gorgeous setting. And I feel like some of the, structures there can be repurposed. Definitely the metal climbing structure.
That's got to be thrown out. It is not safe. By definition, the slides have got to go. Those climbing structures do not fall in within the parameters of safety. So a lot of that stuff, it can be repurposed to the dump.
I just feel like just plopping things down haphazardly is going to be a mistake. I feel like.
I don't think plopping's what we're talking about. It's conceptually, and how you want to look at this is phasing it over years.
There's another thing, since you brought up budget, I don't know how much time we have, but there is a grant, opportunity from the Division of Conservation Services. I attended the virtual session, last week,
Right.
discussing how to apply. For small towns like ours, there's a grant opportunity for up to $100,000
Nice.
and, reimbursement between 52% and 70%. What we would need is a recreation plan by the deadline of July 13th.
You got some work to do.
So before that, they would need that's why we need a designer that can put a budget together by that time, because they would need a finished design with some kind of budget
That's not gonna
for
happen.
the cap cost,
You can't get a finished design in 6 weeks.
provisional design.
I don't know. Joe would know better. It ain't gonna happen. No,
Next year.
yeah,
How about
Well, I
CPA?
think too is, I think if you come out of this session with kind of a direction and where we want to go, and then we get something on paper, even in a draft format, then we involve Chris, because he also knows what other grants are out there.
Right. And this is a 2-year grant, so fiscal year 24 would be just for design, and then construction couldn't begin until fiscal year 25.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm telling you is I do not think we can get a grant put together on paper by July 13th.
Sure. I'm just saying that if we apply for next year, I'm sure this is a revolving grant. It's a 2-year.
Well, we take one step at a time. Let's get the input. Let's get a budget. Let's see what we're gonna have available for the next 2 or 3 years, what we could, because there's other things that are going on that, are we gonna put 40 or 60 or 100,000 to each thing? And also, what do the people who live around there want? I'm telling you, the whole thing with Dewey is there are a lot of people who don't want to see anything there. So I'm just telling you. So it's all
Yes,
gonna be
no,
very
I understand
dependent.
that, But this is like why I think for us, the design is gonna be crucial, because we don't want somebody to have a playground in front of their pristine view. And there's a lot of space at Dewey, so I think we'd be able to accommodate a lot of people. We can get the input and work around
Okay,
it. But I had another question, or we did, about CPA grant.
Yeah, so that's
affordable housing, open space and recreation, historical.
When would we need to put in
That starts in September.
so do you think it's a good idea?
I don't know. I'm chair of the committee. That would be the Park and Rec's job to deal with it. But you'd need to read exactly what open space and recreation means in the sense of funding things. Okay? You go ask Chris Remble. He'd be the one to ask. He's the admin. He's the one that handles all that.
But for CPA, we would also need like a preliminary design with the budget,
Oh, yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phase one, yeah, I mean, there's 2 phases, it's a 2-page to start. And if it's considered to be able to be reviewed, then it's very detailed.
Very help committee them get something.
When is this meeting? It's May 31st. What day is it? Are we?
Wednesday,
That's
May 31st.
What day is it gonna happen here?
Yeah,
At 5
At this room?
yeah, it's already been, it's already been signed, sealed, delivered, you're yours.
And what is the timeframe for the commission to get something done at Grove? I imagine Dewey's not gonna happen anytime soon.
I don't know. Or get what done?
Replace the equipment, all that, are you imagining this year or next year? I mean, I just wondered.
Soon as possible, and there is no timeline.
That was a politician's response. Well done, Alana. Okay.
I don't think it was the first time she used that line.
No, I think she's heard that before. Okay. So, yeah, what time? 5:15 here, 31st?
5, but we can change.
That's 5. 5's okay. Great. Okay, review of Olympian Meadows. What are we reviewing? It's humming down there. I was down there the other night. There must have been 300 people there between soccer and softball and both baseball fields and everything else. So, I'm gonna dovetail this. Is it lined yet?
No, hopefully it's gonna happen tomorrow. Or as soon as I can get some more volunteers.
Okay,
You have to move that big one, the goals around. It's, it's more than what,
how many guys does it take to move those goals?
well, one goal's gotta go quite a ways.
One guy?
One goal has gotta go quite a ways. It doesn't, they don't move very easily, probably 4 people. We move with one guy. Oh, you do? Can we borrow you?
Joe actually came up with the idea, maybe you wanna go help him.
Go move.
Joe, you just grab the back bar,
Yeah.
right in the middle, pick it up and it's like a wheelbarrow.
Right, well, I was pushing one around by myself the other day and I
Well,
found.
perhaps that's the problem. You need to pull it.
Well, they're saying one guy, I'm a half a guy then, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'm not gonna get into that
I'm an old guy.
discussion. I'll tell you that much.
But
Next,
Yeah. All right, so it's gonna be lined tomorrow and
this
have,
week, I hope.
Okay, have you talked to any of the gentlemen's groups that want to play soccer, what nights they're gonna use it?
I haven't no one's gotten back to me yet.
Okay, so I will tell you that the girls softball has posted their schedule. It's on the website. And they've also printed it and laminated it down there. So anybody who goes, you can go look and see when it's open. There's plenty of open times to go play soccer down there. And I think Bill Meyer's gonna be the first guy. He's gonna have a team and I'm gonna have,
That will be a fun day.
that will be a sick group. Okay, great.
The mamas are asking, they don't want to drive up to the field house anymore, so.
Yeah.
The mamas,
Mothers, soccer moms.
the mothers wanna
They
do
want
what?
to play soccer.
The mothers want to play soccer. Well, then tell them to drag their butt down there and play.
I don't actually want to play.
I don't either. Bill Meyer hasn't even kicked a soccer ball. Okay, old business, hello. Lake Mansfield Task Force. Mr. Meyer,
There was a weed survey that was done last year, that the results of that came in, and
it's weedy.
it's like it's weed. You know, but there was, the most important thing is are there invasives in there that are gonna take the lake over? And right now it seems that they're pretty much under control. But you know, the weeds are an issue down there. I've been in the lake already, and it's already starting to look pretty weak.
Is the mat down yet?
That was my next thing. The mats are bubbled underneath, and they are still there. And there are huge, it looks like, doesn't look great. When you're swimming into the beach, it's like these huge, like, pyramids.
Moguls.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because what happens is they put the mats down over the weeds, and the weeds disintegrate, and the methane gas comes up, so that's. the
It's like
gas.
lake farts.
Oh, God, yeah, I can, it is. It is,
Wow.
I didn't want to say that, but you did.
I did.
No, but they have to take those mats up and relay them, so.
And when does that happen? Mr. Aberdale, when do the mats get relayed?
As soon as the water temperature gets above what?
Should have been done by now.
It should,
No.
the guy should have.
So I don't think anything happened last year up there with the maps.
Shouldn't they be pulled
We
out?
did that 2 years ago, and they did that pretty intensely, and don't we have an ongoing contract with those guys, or is that something that?
We better talk to DPW. This may not be in his wheelhouse quite yet.
I think there's $5,000 left in FY 23 that was earmarked for the maps up there, and nothing was done.
So we still have money left from last year and for this year too.
And then, yeah, so, I can pull the old agreement, so what you're saying needs to happen, there's the mat needs to be pulled out.
There's
Relay.
There's sections of mats all around that, and they all need to be lifted and replaced.
Okay. I
And
can call that company. go
Those guys, yeah,
look
look
at
at
it.
it.
Great.
They're down in Springfield, yeah, some, they're good guys.
Thank you, Mr. Aberdale. That'd be marvelous.
And then as far as like the swimming outline, you put that in typically?
I did that, yes, I've done that the past 3 years.
Okay, so we
Do
may,
you want to help me with that, Joe?
I'll stay on the shore and.
Well, we'll send Wonder Boy in.
He just got a new speed, if you want to do it.
I think we left.
Wonder Boy Stevens. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
I don't, yeah, I know nothing about land, no maps, baby. Okay. Okay, great. Citizens speak. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah.
What would you like to say, sir? Why don't you come up to the microphone so we can hear you, Mr. Berthet?
It's about invasives.
Okay,
I own two houses, 195 and 181 Railroad Avenue. It's the north end. And I'm talking about Ray Hall Park. I'm calling it that because that's where Ray Hall used to park. When they redid the retaining wall, they put a sloping bank there and made the road narrower, Railroad Avenue. And it's going to be taken over by knotweed. When I bought the house 35 years ago, and it was a tunnel. You drive in there,
John, I don't mean to be rude, but this has nothing to do with Park and Rec.
doesn't?
No.
The grass?
It'd be DPW. You want to speak to Mr. Aberdale about it?
Thanks.
What's that?
Where is this?
It's actually in 4 sections and it runs parallel to the railroad track on the north side.
It's definitely not a park and rec issue, I can tell you that, but this is the guy you want to talk to, he would have better information. Are you, yeah, let me just finish here. Commissioners, Sir Debbie, do you have anything?
No.
Thank you for your work, thank you for your work, I know this is, you're just learning and whatever, but thank you. Tom?
Not at this time, no, good.
Bill?
No, all's good.
Alana?
I've had some requests for a park bench or a picnic table at South Street Park
But from whom?
from the neighbors on the hill who walk past it.
Mr. Aberdale? Excuse me, Mr. Aberdale? Do we have any benches or
Picnic tables?
picnic tables in Essentia
I
anywhere?
don't think there's any extras right now. After Memorial Day, when all your guys bring back. We could build a few after Memorial.
That would be good. We would, that would be good. What would you like up there, Alana?
I'd like a bench or two and a picnic table.
This is at South Street.
South Street Park.
We won't build the benches.
Whatever it is now, that's South Street.
Great.
Whatever the new name.
What the hell's the name of that place now? It's got a church, the church family.
Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs. Dr. and Mrs. Church or something. Yeah. Okay. We get a bench and it was renamed because the Hysterical Commission, excuse me, the Historical Commission told us that it was originally deeded by Dr. and Mrs. Frederick Church or something. I don't know.
Joe,
You should share that. board.
Joe, can we have wooden benches?
What's that?
Wooden, not metal.
Why?
They're more comfortable.
If they're gonna build them, they're not gonna build metal ones.
Well, we usually buy the benches, they're the powder coated metal ones and they set on,
Concrete pad.
concrete slab.
There's one style that seems on Main Street, and there's a single one, that the Thursday Club donated at Dewey Park that has like a very curved front, and that it slopes back with it incredibly uncomfortable, because you just think back and it like cuts right at the side. There are 2 others that are flat, they're metal, but they're a flat seat.
And you like those better?
They're so much more comfortable, like you're not like trapped.
I think we need to have some test butts on those benches, and I would like to nominate Julie and Alana to check them out.
We need to take a survey.
A survey says.
Just drive around town, you might find some people with some couches.
There are tons of them, all our people in Main Street, they're sitting on them all day.
Especially at Beagle Park, I remember just sitting watching my daughter play, and
Yeah, that's true.
so uncomfortable, I can't even sit and like do anything.
Well, that tells you not to sit.
Anyway, there was another request actually from a neighbor, Dewey Park, to install another swing. There was a missing swing at the swing set. So she refused, she lives on East Street, but she had to go a completely different way because she has 2 daughters. And every time they pass by, they want that one single swing.
Is there a space for another swing?
Yes, it's just, it was never replaced.
Take a picture,
I have a
send it to
picture.
me, send it to Joe. See if we can get another swing to replace it,
Yeah.
okay?
She was like that.
I've already asked you people and you've all said no, so now it's hop in. Go ahead, Bill, you got 1 shot.
So I just want to say one thing, that I've been to Lake Mansfield a number of times since the beginning of April, and I can't believe the amount of kids that are on those the playground.
It's something, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. It's really great. It's
Well,
really great. It's like, there was one April 15th when it was like, I think it was 87 or 90.
I've been in touch with Mr. Rembold. He has not had the courtesy of a response. I said, because nobody's allowed to talk to the Chevals except him. And in order to, so we can do a dedication, which is something I was supposed to do. So I haven't heard back and I will follow up with that.
Yeah, but it's a really wonderful thing. I mean, Lake Mansfield really is getting a lot of wonderful use right now.
Well, the other thing about those units, that took us 2 years to come up with the right mix, because what they wanted to put on there was fluorescent pink and bright lime. We finally talked them down to the grays, the muted, whatever. And now these are play pieces that I think are much better suited for whatever. Terry,
I have nothing to say, thank you.
Paul,
A question, I thought the softball people were coming tonight.
Let's just.
Nope. They did everything they were supposed to do.
Oh, okay, because I've looked at that main field and it does not look like it has been touched except to be raked. There
This
was
is
a
the main
complaint
song.
about the base paths were not safe, first and third, because there's a hump. And it doesn't look like they've done anything about it, so I guess we shouldn't worry about it.
I'll wait until that, I mean, we went through this whole thing with the junior field. And we got that, we got April Hosker, we got that all squared away. And whatever has to be done on the main field, if they don't take care of it and rake it, we've given them the equipment and the mowers. I'm not gonna sweat my,
Well, I just mentioned, I thought that they were gonna be here tonight.
no, April said,
was
I
gonna
said,
ask.
no, she was, I have not seen anybody from the seniors, just the juniors. Other than that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, bye. Thank you, boys and girls.